Hello, welcome to Shad Life. I have my state 4130 all road here. Just got done doing the MS 150. That's why the number is on there, and I just kind of left the bike as it was when I finished the event so I could do this video and talk about this bike a little bit in the event. So it's 2 days, 75 miles each day. We start in Duluth, ride to Hinckley. This is in Minnesota, so that's like just shy of 75 miles, and then we go from Hinckley down to White Bear Lake, which is just north of St. Paul. So if you know Minnesota, we have the Twin Cities, that's Minneapolis, St. Paul, and so overall we end up around 150 miles. It's not exact, but pretty good. It's a mix of some road and bike trail riding. There's a trail that goes all the way up there. I think parts of it are the Munger Trail, Willard Munger Trail, and I don't remember what the other trail is called. And then there's riding on shoulders, pretty wide shoulders, things like that. So pretty safe, pretty fun. And a lot of people do it, and it's a fundraiser for multiple sclerosis. So the 4130 all road, this is the second year I've done that ride with this bike, and one thing I really like about this bike is how comfortable it is. Notice how tall, this is a 47. Notice how tall the steer tube is. So it's got a high stack height, and the stem is flipped down in the down position. I could flip it up if I wanted the bars to be any more up, but it's actually really comfortable because of high stack height. I don't really need to flip the stem. I did upgrade. These are Salsa cow chippers. Trying to remember the width, 46 centimeter I believe they are, so a little bit wider than what came stock on this bike. And I love these tires. Like, these are like an all-road or a gravel tire, I'm not sure, but they're the Torino Zeros. I do have them set up tubeless, but this smooth center tread, but then you've got some traction on the side. These are so good. Believe it or not, I ran 60 PSI, and this thing goes fast. I was able to hold about, if I was by myself, I could easily do 18, 19 miles per hour. When I was in a group, we were doing 22 miles per hour at some times. So even though this isn't a hardcore road bike, it's actually kind of heavy too. It's up in like the 27, 28 pound and probably even more with all the gear on it. So it's not a light bike, but once you're rolling, the weight doesn't matter as much. It's more about the rolling resistance. One disadvantage riding road with this bike is the 1x11 drivetrain. There were times when I felt like I was either pushing too hard or spinning too fast between gears. So it doesn't have that fine tuned gear because of the cassette is a wider range cassette. I believe it's 11 to 46 if I remember right, and then I actually went down to a 38. So I would prefer in a ride like that to have a 2x11 system. So 2 gears up front, and then what you could do, because if you have 2 rings up front, you could go to a much tighter cassette without needing such a big ring. And then by going to a tighter cassette, probably like a 11 to 36 or something like that, you could get away with it because you have a small ring up here and a big ring up here. So a 2x system allows you to have a little bit more fine-tuned gearing. One thing I did do right before this ride is I got this Garmin Edge 540 last week because I wanted to be able to, what happened last year, I'll tell you that story. So last year I was only using my Garmin watch, which does show the speed that I'm going, but the problem is I can't see my watch when I've got my hands on the bars, and I had to keep looking over to my watch to try to see how fast I was going. And you want to know your speed if you're in a group, because when you get into the lead, you want to maintain a certain speed. So what happens with me is, with the group that I was with, I tend to be a little bit faster. So then I end up like going, you know, 19 miles per hour when they really want to do somewhere between 17 or 18, and sometimes I'd get up to 20. Last year I'd start dropping the group. So what's nice about having the computer is I have the speed right in front of me and I can maintain my speed better. This also does cadence, and I don't have the sensor on the crank, but I want to get that and be able to monitor my cadence. And I can switch this over to my mountain bike too. So I'm going to be playing around with this Edge 540 a little bit. It's pretty cool what it can do. They do have other versions, I think an 840 and a 1040 or something. There's a few higher end ones. Some of them have touchscreen. I didn't really want the touchscreen version. I don't mind the push buttons. It's just super simple functionality, and if it rains or something, I don't have to worry about the touchscreen not working and stuff like that. But yeah, that's it. This is the State All-Road. I have upgraded to Rival. I love how this shifts. It's just like like it shifts so perfectly right now. It's like I don't even want to touch it. It shifts so good. And in my bag up here, didn't carry a lot with me. This is a super well supported ride, but these are my sunglasses that I've been using more and more lately. They came in handy. Sunscreen, of course, you gotta have that. I had a pump in here and a bunch of goo packs, some trail mix, things like that. That's all I really needed, because really there's literally stops anywhere from every 10 or 10 to 15 miles. It seemed to be a little sporadic, but it was somewhere in there. And they had tons of food and water and all that stuff. So you'll notice I only have one water bottle. I didn't need more because I could always refill on water, so on and so forth. So super well supported ride. And then back here I had just a multi-tool. I have okay. now that the blur went away. So yeah, I had 2 cartridges back here, you know, a little air compressor head for it, and then multi-tool, things like that. Running tubeless, I did not carry a spare tube. Here's another thing. I have yet to get a flat with these. I've got probably close to 1,000 miles on this bike, a couple of gravel events, 2 MS-150s, things like that. Have not had a flat. I might have run something over and you know, put a hole in here. I could probably look and see if there's a little mark, but then the sealant fills it up. And there have been a couple times when I've noticed my air pressure was down a little bit, and then I just pump it back up and then it stays. So tubeless is cool in that sense, that if you do get at least little micro holes from running something over, as long as something doesn't stay embedded in there and make it worse, or you don't get a big slash, your sealant's gonna fill it up. And I did refresh the sealant on this before the event, just because I wanted to make sure there's sealant in there. So I'm loving tubeless, even on this kind of bike, an all-road bike. These are 38s, in case you're wondering. So yeah, I'm really impressed with this bike. Yeah, big boogers. So will I keep riding this bike? My plan is, now I'm starting to really think about it. I kind of want to upgrade the frame and the fork. The trouble is going to be able to find something that has this kind of comfort geometry that I really like. And that will be the challenge. So it's going to take me a while to find something. But one of the things is this bike is way heavier than it needs to be. I mean, you have to realize this was an $899 bike. So you're not going to get the super high-end double or triple butted frame tubing and certain things that's going to make a frame a lot lighter. So the frame is pretty heavy, the fork is super heavy, and so on and so forth. So yes, it's a really good bike. I think the number one thing about this bike, or actually two things: comfort, because the geometry, and reliability. Super reliable. I have upgraded the brakes, upgraded rear derailleur, cassette, chain ring to a wolf tooth, updated the handlebars. I kept the shifters. I love the shifters. And what else? Seat, of course, I replaced. That's the number one thing you want to do, is make sure you get fitted for the proper seat, especially if you're going to spend long hours in the saddle. And that's pretty much it. Everything else is stock. Stock wheels and tires, and they're doing really good. So, and stock crankset, believe it or not. That's also done really well. So, pretty impressive. Cool. So just an update on the State All-Road and my MS-150 ride. Appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.